welcome back to the podcast. I am super excited to share some news with you, and I think I'm going to leave the juicy details for near the end of this episode. When this episode airs, we will be on day 2 of a Transformed Life Summit live. I will include a note in the show links, but it is a transformedlifesummit.com. Go sign up. You get a free, awesome PDF of Transformational Blueprint. It is amazing. I designed it, so I hope you enjoy it. And it's going to be 5 evenings of 2 speakers every evening, opportunity for some hot seat coaching from some of the fantastic coaches. And it's just going to be a really fantastic event for you to up-level your personal life, your business, your parenting, whatever you want to transform in your life. This is the place for you. And I'm excited to bring this free event. So make sure you sign up for it. I will give you the update on this past week's video visit with my son. I will leave that to kind of the end of the podcast. And I wanted to first talk about the election. If you're listening to this in America, Canada, we are your neighbors, so you probably have heard the news as well. I'm recording this after the election, and there's 2 sides, and one side is thrilled, and the other side is throwing a temper tantrum. And whether it's politics, sports, or life, we are going to be faced with trials and tribulations and temptations and traumas and tragedies. And I bring this kind of full circle because of my situation personally. It has been easy for me to be in a place of throwing a temper tantrum. I didn't get what I wanted, and why did this, go this way instead of the way I thought it was supposed to go. And I will also say, when we ever have questions that start with why, it is usually kind of an indicator of self-judgment. And so if you catch yourself asking you a why question, see if you can switch it around to what or how or where or when, and really have compassion for yourself. That is a tool that you can use. It's a tool that I use every single day. And when you become aware of your language and the words you use, that is how you begin to transform your life. And so back to throwing temper tantrums. So obviously we know kids get labeled as throwing temper tantrums. I have a whole philosophy and mindset around, children and temper tantrums. I don't necessarily think some children are throwing temper tantrums outright willingly. I think there's a lot of factors that go into it, such as emotional regulation, being allowed to feel their feelings. There's more to it than just the label we give it. And society really likes labels. We like diagnoses. We kind of thrive on, labels, identities. Are you left? Are you right? Are you, this kind of mother? Are you this kind of father? What kind of entrepreneur are you? And labels, identities can really divide humanity. It can really divide yourself as well. When you come back into wholeness with yourself of yes, I am a parent. I am a mother. I am a father. I am a friend. I am so much greater than all these labels that are either given to me or that I've given to myself. What are we at our core? And at our core is our soul. And our soul has come here to planet Earth to evolve and expand into higher consciousness. And so when we don't get what we want, we gravitate to the ego side, which, ego is a word kind of synonymous with trauma. It's the unintegrated parts of ourselves that, aren't currently being seen, heard, understood. And so if you are listening to this and you're in the States and you are identifying with the party that lost, I would encourage you to look into asking yourself questions of like, what do I need to integrate into my life? What do I need to acknowledge? How can I see, hear, and understand the parts of me, the aspects of me that are feeling hurt, that are feeling not seen, not understood, not validated, and really making contact with those parts of you. Whatever age you are today, at some point you were a child, you were a teenager, and most of our behaviors are learned before the age of 7. And so, if there's been an impact of trauma, before the age of 7, that got integrated into your system, that hasn't, if you haven't processed it yet, that is still running in the background of your human system, of your iOS, your operating system. And so if you're feeling, anxious and upset and mad about the election, I invite you to use this as an opportunity to really up-level your life, to really do the inner work. And you can be enlightened all you want. True enlightenment happens when there is a perceived loss, and we can stay grounded in our sovereignty, in our peace, in our joy, and in our love. And recently, there was something I desired in my life, and it hasn't happened yet. And I became pretty upset. I threw a spiritual temper tantrum, if you will. I think it's so interesting that this just personally happened in my life, and I see this now playing out on a global scale, particularly on social media, since that's the age we are currently living in. People are, if they're on the losing side, they are really throwing a temper tantrum, and supposedly I had thought, that side was all about unity and love, and all I've seen is a lot of vitriol, a lot of anger, a lot of hate, and that is not consciousness, that is not evolving, it's not expansion, it's contraction. And so, tapping into my own recent experience with my own spiritual temper tantrum and not getting what I wanted, instant gratification, if you will, in this particular example of my life, I have, really turned to these aspects of myself, and also I've done a lot of journaling and a lot of introspection, asking myself questions, and really tapping into myself of like, what, it's just not the right time right now. Something else is either better aligned coming down the road for me, or I need to continue to transform the hurts and the wounds in my life so that I am ready for what it is that I do desire. And so when we are faced with disappointment and things didn't go as we wanted them to go, as we expected them to go, how do we keep our peace? How do we keep our sanity? How do we keep our power? So many people are giving their power away right now because they lost. Well, they lost because they put their power into another person. And regardless if you are on the red or blue team here in the States, when you put your power into somebody, when you give your power away to a political party or an idea or an identity, whatever you give your power away to, maybe it's your partner, maybe it's your ex-partner, maybe it's a business partner. Whenever you outsource your power to someone else, you're going to be set up for disappointment, for sadness, for unnecessarily grief, and your soul wants wants you to come home to it. It wants to have that wholeness, that integration of peace and love and joy. And you can achieve this by staying in alignment and acknowledging, yes, I'm disappointed. What inside of me is needing love and acceptance and wants to be understood. How can I give that aspect of me those things? And you keep and retain your power when you take responsibility for your life. You are the society. You are the government. You govern your body. You govern your thoughts. You govern your choices. And, each of us makes up society, but you are a society of one. And that ripples out into, two, and then four. It's a community, it's a town, it's a city, it's a state, it's a country. And so when each of us takes responsibility, the ability to respond to our situation with the utmost respect and reverence for what we are going through, for what we are experiencing, and transcending and transforming whatever it is that we are facing, the disappointment, the sadness. And instead of throwing a temper tantrum, I invite you to step into a transformation triumph. And when you triumph over your disappointment, when you acknowledge the sadness, that is when you transform your life. That is when you have the power and the autonomy to make rational decisions. Like your brain is hijacked right now because you're in the fight-flight response. It thinks, there's a tiger out there and it's coming to eat you. Well, look around your surroundings. Is there a tiger coming to eat you right now? Probably not. And our human system, when we get activated and, quote unquote, triggered, that is our system thinking there's a tiger about to eat us. And, we don't live, 2,000 years ago where that was reality. We live today where our, triggers and our tigers are, emotional, they are environmental, they are psychological, they are relational, they are, even in, our products, our food. And I would just encourage you to step back a little bit from the political system that really wants to suck you into the fear and the hate and being terrified. I've just seen so many posts today of these parents are terrified for their children. Well, you're instilling that terror into your children, not the party. You have to take power back and raise your children with autonomy, with peace, and how you want their life to go, independent of whatever happened on election day, whatever happened at the ballot box. And when we give our power away, it is very difficult to make rational, soul-aligned choices and decisions. So I just strongly encourage you, if you are feeling sadness or disappointment over the election, to realize that you are a bigger person than giving your power away, and come back into joy. I invite you to come back into the presence of peace within your soul. And no matter what is going on around you, you are in charge of your emotions, of your feelings. And remember, feelings drive actions. And if you are having feelings of, terror, disappointment, that is going to drive your actions. And those actions probably don't align with where you want to go. Do you want a healthy generation coming up behind us? Do you want healthy children? Do you want peace in our communities, in our families? Focus on the things that really matter, independent of a political system, a political party. focus on how you can make your family the sovereign unit that you desire to be. You don't, just because a political party won that you might not be in agreement with doesn't mean that you have to be living in terror. That is a very low level way of living and of thinking. You're more powerful than that. And when you recognize that power, that is when you can take full responsibility for your life, and you model that for your children, for your family, for your community, and for those people that you interact with. So, would love to hear your thoughts on all of this. You can leave a comment in Spotify and what you think about this. Send me a message or leave a comment on the Instagram post at Hope Rose Speaks. Would love to hear your thoughts on all of this and how you can really transform this disappointment into your life and integrate it. And if you are excited and stoked and celebratory of the party that you believe won, I would also invite you to be gracious to the people that are dealing with disappointment. Kind of tap into their sadness and really love them with as much kindness and peace, and also setting the example by how you are making choices, how you are living with the words you speak, with the words you write, and the words that you live by. So the update on my second video visit with my son, I gave my son's father 4 days notice that we would be having the video visit. There was some messages exchanged back and forth. The particular state that my son is in has a 2-party video recording, or I guess just recording in general, consent law. And I told him that I do not consent to being recorded. He replied back, he is going to record anyway. So that was very interesting because this legal case is ongoing. I'm not at liberty to give too many more details on kind of the behind the scenes of what is happening with that. But I will just let you know that those are his actions as of right now. And Friday evening rolled around, and about 30 minutes before the video call was supposed to start, I received a message that he is canceling the video visit because our son has a school function. So that was, of course, disappointing, and another lesson for myself, another gift to myself of tapping into that disappointment, really looking at the long game here, getting support from friends, and really, tapping into all the tools that I have been, integrating and implementing in my life for many months now. And the reschedule was this past Monday evening, and I am very delighted to inform you that we had almost a full hour together. He still does not know who I am. I was showing him some pictures and videos of us, when we were, together for those first 4 years of his life. And, I asked him, who is that? And he was like, it's me. And I'm like, well, who's the other person? He was like, I don't know. And I'm like, it's Mama. And there is a woman in the ex's life, and they are posing her as my son's mother. So, navigating that as well. And so, I will interject right here. When I talk about transformation, I am not talking about this from a place of life is just perfect and everything is just going along just, honky-dory. If you have listened to any of my podcast episodes, then you will know that I have been in a very, what they, the spiritual community calls, dark nights of the soul. And I will say dark years of the soul at this point for myself. And, I'm slowly emerging from from these dark nights, and I am so grateful that I have had so many healers and coaches and, professionals, come into my life to help me get through this time. And, I have a big calling on my life. When a person goes through something to the magnitude that I have gone through and experienced, that can only be alchemized to that extent. And so the darker and the deeper the story is, the higher and lighter the comeback is. And so that is what I'm focusing on. And so I have an opportunity to practice my tools every single day, all day long. There have been very difficult days that I have, wrestled with and, come out on the other side and emerged. And I am stronger and more peaceful and a little bit more resilient at every moment. And these healing transformational journeys it's an ebb and flow, like it's 2 steps forward, a step back, 10 steps forward, 2 steps back. As long as you are making forward progress, that's the name of the game. That is how you win. When you continue to show up for yourself, you show up for your community, you show up for your family, and really taking ownership of your life. And when I say taking ownership, taking full responsibility, taking ownership for the choices you make, the thoughts you think, the patterns that you have, of becoming aware of those patterns. And that's what a skilled professional coach can really help you, untangle. And when you start to recognize and become aware of your patterns, that's when you have a choice, and you work really diligently to recreate a new pattern that aligns with the outcome you desire. We are near the end of this episode. I want to thank you so much for joining me on this. Again, if you are listening to this the week of November 11th through 15th, 2024, be sure to check out A Transformed Life Summit. Go to my Instagram page at Hope Rose Speaks or atransformedlifesummit.com for all the details. I also want to let you know I am offering free coaching sessions on this podcast, in exchange for sharing your transformational coaching session here on the podcast. But if you would like a free coaching session, whatever you are struggling with, whether, something that you want to, kind of disentangle, want to get some insight on, some wisdom, some perspective, I would be thrilled and delighted and honored to share a part of your healing story and help you begin to make changes or implement changes to your life so you can live in that state of being a strong person, reclaiming your power, really, honing into that. And so if you would like a free coaching session, I'll include a link in the show notes below. But go ahead and apply, and a member of our team, that would be me, will reach out to you as well. So I look forward to giving you an update next week, and I would love to see how I can benefit your life in giving you tools and hope and encouragement for your journey ahead. Have a beautiful day, beautiful evening, beautiful morning, wherever you are at the time frame listening to this, and I will see you next time.